Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host, Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be taking a look ahead at the year ahead of us, 2026. We'll map out what Xbox's plans are for it. With 12 new months ahead of us, there's a lot of good Xbox could do to pull themselves out of the sand. Conversely, a lot of damage can be done in 12 months. Let's discuss it all right now. Welcome to the year 2026. You guys, if you're listening to this, we made it. Actually, I'm lying. Well, no, I'm not. If you're listening to this, we made it. I'm recording this in the year 2025, but due to Hollywood magic, we're able to make it to where you don't have access to this audio recording until next year. So it's New Year's Eve as the time I'm recording this. I'm freezing cold in Florida. What the hell is that all about? It is so insanely cold, but we are on we're hours away. We're on the precipice of a new year, a clean slate, a new opportunity for Xbox to either please us greatly and turn our frowns upside down, or maybe just get our hopes even lower than they already are, crush us when we thought there was nothing left to crush. Who knows? Honestly, based on how things have gone the past few years, it'll probably be a combination of the two, but the whole point of this episode, welcome to the podcast. This is our final episode in our series of kind of holiday time off schedule, special episodes. This is our last one before the show gets back to normal. And as we do every year, this is an opportunity where we take a look ahead, kick off the new year saying, what does Xbox look like in 2020 blank, And so in this case, it's 2026. Got a whole 12 months of news, game releases, hardware announcements, hardware cancellations, game cancellations, job layoffs, studio closures, sexual harassment claims, the project cancellations, game announcements, gaming events, PlayStation milestones, Nintendo sales successes, and Xbox/Microsoft quarterly earnings calls. So there's a whole lot to get to in the next 12 months, and there's no one I'd rather be sitting here going through it all with than you, the listener. Yeah, and everyone thinks I'm talking to the 113 people that listen to the show, but no, I'm just talking to you, Dave from Poughkeepsie. I don't fucking know who's listening to this podcast. But guys, I just realized right before I hit record, I never addressed that 2 weeks ago, was it? 2 podcasts ago? When I was flying to Atlanta, I was flying home for a couple days to visit some family. The podcast decided to do this cute little fucking thing. I don't know if it was SoundCloud, which I think it is, because that's the site I use to host the RSS link in the podcast, or if it was Spotify. I don't think it was Spotify, but I was having the most issues with Spotify, or I don't know what it was, but the podcast was just like not working. It uploaded, it worked for a second, then it didn't work, and then people were messaging me and they're like, Jesse, I can't get the podcast. I was like, oh my God, this is so stressful. I'm in an airport, I don't have access to my computer, and I can't do shit about it. And I was like in the terminal on the phone with SoundCloud support, and by on the phone I mean emailing back and forth because they don't do phone calls. And man, that was stressful. So anyway, I just brought that up to say, if you were one of the people who was affected by, I'm trying to listen to the show, and for about a day or two it just wasn't working, I'm sorry. I'm aware it happened. I'm glad it's fixed. I don't know how it got fixed, but it works. And I'm sorry. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If it does, fuck you, SoundCloud. We're switching to a different service. I don't even know why I use SoundCloud to host the podcast, to be honest. Anyway, you guys, it's time for a whole new year of Xbox On. Just as a reminder, as we just kind of touched on, this is the last of the holiday specials episodes, so we won't be doing news. We won't be doing the what I've been eating or any of that stuff, what I've been playing, although I'll be honest, what I've been playing has really been piling up. I've beaten a shit ton of games in the past couple weeks. I've played a bunch of games in the past couple weeks. I'm on a huge Metroid kick right now. I don't really know what to say, but we'll get to those things next week. The news is piling up as well, so I think, honestly, for early January, we're going to have a decent amount of things to talk about next week. So I'm looking forward to a pretty regular podcast beginning next Thursday. But until then, this is the look ahead for Xbox. We don't have to get into that. I just said all that. So basically what we're going to do here, the rundown. Sorry, let me clear my throat. Let me take a sip of Prime, the first sip of Prime of 2025. Basically what we're going to do here is, I have it laid out where we're going to talk about games that are confirmed and or assumed to be coming out in 2026 for Xbox, like notable games, not everything, but notable games. Hardware discussions about things that we suspect or expect to happen in 2026 with Xbox. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the competition, how it's looking over on the PlayStation and Nintendo side of things. And then we'll talk about notable events and opportunities for Xbox to make a splash and do something pretty big this year. And then I'll wrap up with some predictions of things I think will happen with Xbox this year. And then we'll round out the podcast, as we always do, with listener comments and write-ins. So that is basically the rundown for what I have planned. I did not look at what I did last year or how I handled this episode last year, so I'm not sure if this is similar or very different, or I don't fucking know. But I'll be honest, I was doing some preparation for the podcast, and I felt a little like I was being lazy, because I was like, is that really it? That's all I have to talk about? But like I guess it's like 2026 is, I think it's going to be a pretty big year for Xbox, but it's just like going into it, there's not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, Xbox is at an all-time low, and all we know is that all the biggest Xbox franchises are getting sequels this year, and they're all going to PlayStation, and we might get a new console either announced or released this year, but like we know nothing about any of these things outside of Halo looks like Unreal Engine 5 slop on PS5. Like, that's like all we have to really talk about. So we're going to go through this. I'm sure once we kind of like go through category by category, game by game, line by line, it will open up more discussion. But I'm kind of worried. I'm like, whoa, is this going to be a 45-minute episode? Like, what are we going to talk about here? But let's, rest assured, let's kick things off talking about software. Let's talk about the games that we either know to be coming in 2026 or we suspect are coming in 2026, because I think that's the best place to start. What's the point of a video game console if not the video games that you can play on it? So, and I tried to be somewhat chronological with this as well. So in just a couple weeks here, on January 22nd, Final Fantasy VII Remake will finally come to the Xbox platform. We are about to start, like, this is how long it's been. We are about to presumably get the next generation of Xbox hardware, and we have been waiting for the remake of Final Fantasy VII to come to Xbox since the Xbox One generation. Now, albeit, as the tail end of the Xbox One generation, we're talking about the year really before the new Xbox, but it feels like it's been a long ass time. I mean, for a game that was supposed to be a timed exclusive on PlayStation, they sure really had me convinced for a long time that we weren't getting this game. So I think that is a really good way to start out the year. Give us a game we've been waiting for forever. Give us like that, it's there's kind of a lull otherwise in game releases, and this is a nice meaty experience that can feel like a kind of like a justified or finally moment for a lot of Xbox players. So this is a cool one. Now, here's the part where I'm a total asshole, because I have said on this podcast for many years, I will not play Final Fantasy VII Remake until I can play it on an Xbox, because even though I don't have PS5 and all that, I've had the opportunity to play this game because I do have PS4, I do have PC, my PC is more than capable of running this game, but I have, protested and said I will not play this game until it's on Xbox. But really, with how Switch heavy I've been lately, I'm kind of tempted to play this game on the Nintendo Switch too, I'm not going to lie. But I'll probably play it on Xbox just to put my money where my mouth is, and to support it also. God, let's be honest, the game's going to look and run better on Xbox. Anyway, so that's the first thing here. Not a huge game, but I think it is a symbolic game. It's a game we've been waiting for. Is it going to do a lot is it going to be a huge win for Xbox and really do a lot to move the needle in any way? Not at all. But it is a kind of like finally moment for some of us Xbox players, I'll say. All right, then on February 13th, High on Life 2 comes. I don't have anything to say about High on Life. I didn't care about the first one at all. I know a lot of people really liked the first one. I know the first one did really well for Game Pass, and so I think this will be another good pop for Game Pass. February 13th, it's kind of another lull in the schedule. I think it's a really good time. It seems like it will be a rather quiet time. So this is a really good early year pop for Xbox, I think. Then on February 27th, just a few weeks later, we get Resident Evil Requiem. I think this is the first big game of the year, really, for Xbox. Obviously, it's a third-party multi-platform game, but Resident Evil is a huge deal. These games do really, really well critically, and commercially they do pretty damn well. They're not, it's so hard to gauge commercial success at this point in a video game, because like it used to be like a game was an immaculate success if it sold like like 500,000 copies or 1 to 2 million copies if it was like a behemoth game. Now everything that sells fewer than 10 million copies is a fucking failure, and the studio gets shut down and the director of the game gets slapped across the face and called a bitch ass loser. It's just like, it's hard to justify or to like kind of feel like and quantify what success and failure looks like, because Final Fantasy Resident Evil Requiem it probably has potential to be like a 5 to 10 million seller, which if you're called Fortnite, the kind of revenue they're bringing in from that is abysmal. So just, it's all relative, but nonetheless, this is going to be a big, notable multi-platform third-party game in the first half of the year, and that's February 27th, not too far away. So there's that. Pragmata is then our next big one. On April 24th, we got Pragmata. Now, this is one we've been waiting for a couple of years. Capcom game. It's that weird third-person action game where you play as the guy with the little girl, and it's like sci-fi, and there's like it's got like the Death Stranding vibes and the BioShock vibes all together. I think this game looks pretty cool. I don't know that I'm going to buy it or play it when it first comes out. This is one of those rare games where, I think I said this a couple weeks ago during the Game Awards episode. This is one of those rare games where it's like, I need to see more. I actually do want to watch the reviews and hear people's takes before I decide to buy this game. One thing, knowing myself, one thing's probably for certain. Even if I do decide to play this game, I'm not playing it at launch. This is a game I would pick up on sale, if I'm just being honest. But I know people are excited about it. I know it's been a long time coming, because this game was, I think, supposed to release in like 2022 or something. It was revealed like during the PS5 reveal event, I want to say, back in like 2020. So it's been a minute. So it's cool to see that game finally has a release date. And then, speaking of finally has a release date, 007 First Light, which recently got a release date, also recently just got delayed. This happened over the holiday break. But yeah, the game's getting pushed out of its March release window into May 27th. So yeah, 2-month delay. But I'm pretty excited about this game. I will say, of all the third-party multi-platform games we've talked about so far, this is the one I'm most excited about, 007 First Light. This is a must-play for me. I think it looks immaculate. I will definitely be a day one pre-order player of this game, so very much looking for this game. It looks, every time we see it, it just looks better and better. So I suspect it's going to be like some kind of like Uncharted type adventure, and I'm 100% okay with that, and I want it to be that, and I'm just like so on board for it. So 007 First Light, May 27th, pretty good. And now let's talk a little bit about some console exclusives, or rather because console exclusives don't exist anymore. Let's talk about Xbox, first party titles. We got Fable, which we know is coming this year, and I suspect we'll know a lot more about it in a few weeks after the Xbox Developer Direct. But this game, we don't know when this year it will come out. If I had to guess, I would assume it is a late spring, early fall game. My gut tells me this is a September game. This game has September written all over it, in my opinion. In my heart of hearts, that's what I'm guessing. I have no fucking reason to believe it is or isn't that time. I think Xbox is going to have a May, a September, and a November deal with Halo, Gears, and Fable, and I'm really hoping that it's like Halo in November, because that makes sense with the anniversary. Gears in September, Fable in May. And honestly, if they're going to throw Forza in there somewhere, fuck it. Put Forza in September, October. I don't even know. It could be a pretty good deal, but we know that we're getting Fable this year. We just don't know when. But I suspect we'll know pretty damn soon. And if we don't know after the Developer Direct, Fable is delayed again, which honestly, I'm not trying to be, I know a lot of this episode's going to feel like, Jesse, you're so pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic. But yeah, Fable, I do think it's coming this year. And I think the May time slot would be perfect for it. Just piss us all off with 007 and Fable back to back. But anyway, no, I think this game is a surefire for this year. We just don't have a date yet. All right, Halo Campaign Evolved. I don't want to talk about this game because this game keeps making me frustrated every time I think about it. I'm assuming it's a November release date around the 25th anniversary of Xbox, which we will get into more and more as we progress to the show. The only problem with that is that butts it up right against Call of Duty. And it's like, why would you do that? Back in the day, back when I was a kid and Barack Obama was in the White House. No, George Bush was in the White House, we had Halo games in September, back when we were, as they say, a proper country. We would have Halo was a September game, Call of Duty was a November game, but nowadays, ever since the liberals took over, Halo does whatever the hell it wants. Sometimes it's December, sometimes it's October, sometimes it's November. 343 knows no bounds, and I really don't know what to think if this isn't going to be an anniversary release. So I'm assuming November 15th will be this game's release date. Gears of War E-Day. I think this and Fable are total. We just talked about it. I think this and Fable are total flip. It's a coin flip. It's one of them's May, one of them's September, and whichever one, wherever one lands, the other will go. That is my just weird suspicion. It's the perfect gap. Nobody worth a damn ever puts games out during the June and July months. The biggest thing you can ever get in a June or July month is something like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. So I would not expect, although I would pleasantly welcome and gladly welcome a Gears of War or a Fable in a June or July month. I just wouldn't expect it. That's announcement season. We get the announcements of games. We don't get the release of games during those months. It's just always been that way. But yeah, I mean, Gears E-Day, it's hard to say. I don't know if I'm more excited about Gears of War E-Day or Fable, honestly, because Fable has been like such a long time coming. I mean, Xbox fans have been waiting for Fable. I think the rumors started, I want to say, in 2017. I mean, we have been waiting like roughly a decade for this fucking game. It's been like, we've been patient. So from the standpoint of like, we've been talking about this thing since before the dawn of time, I'm very excited and eager to get my hands on Fable. But if I'm just being honest with myself, Fable is not an Xbox franchise that I have really fond memories and a lot of time, playing and underneath my belt. I've never beaten a Fable game, period. I've played the first one and the second one a little bit here and there. So even though I will play Fable day and date, release date, I'm not traditionally a Fable guy, although that's changed a lot. I wasn't into these kinds of games when I was a kid and the Fable series was relevant. I am way more into these kinds of games now as a 30-year-old, so things change. However, with Gears of War, I'm a Gears guy. I love Gears of War. I'll play Gears of War. Give me a new Gears of War game. I'll be there day one. This is a game I'll fucking borderline take a day off work to play. Like, this is a game for me. So it's weird because I'm excited, and we've waited a long time for a follow-up for Gears of War because, I mean, Gears 5 was 2019. By the time this game comes out, Gears 5, I can't believe I'm about to fucking say this, will be 7 years old. I can't believe in 7 years we still couldn't get the follow-up to Gears 5, which, spoiler alert, an important character dies in Gears of War 5, and we really don't know what happens afterwards because it's kind of a cliffhanger ending, and well, here we are 7 years later talking about a prequel that we're getting instead. So that's a little frustrating and annoying, but I think this game looks really good nonetheless and has a huge potential to be a really kick-ass game that reminds us of why we all fell in love with Xbox in the first place. Whereas what we've been getting lately, which is just a lot of constant kicks in the nuts, kickings of the nuts. Forza Horizon 6 is the other big first-party Xbox game we haven't talked about. So that game, again, it's a TBD. Forza Horizon games are generally a September to November game as well. So this is the problem, is this year we're getting a Halo, a Gears, a Forza, and a Fable. And these are all big fall heavy hitters. I mean, you look at games like Fable 2 and 3, or you look at like Halo 4 and 5 and Infinite. You look at Gears of War, whatever, all the Gears. I mean, all of these franchises, Gears 2, Gears 3, these games are almost always fall games. These are big fall releases. So, what are they going to do? Just fucking hang us out to dry from January until September and then just bombard us with like, here's Halo, here's Gears, here's Forza, here's Fable, here's Modern Warfare 4. Like, what are you doing, man? It's a lot of heavy hitters. They got to space it out. That's why I'm putting random games in random slots. We could do, I don't know, Fable in May, Gears of War in September, Forza in October, Halo on November 15th for the anniversary, and then Call of Duty is just one of those things. It can do whatever the fuck it wants. It's Call of Duty. So I assume it will also be November, probably very late October, or more likely early November, because Call of Duty is usually a last week of October to mid-November release. It's usually that like 3 week span. So I'm assuming we're going to get something to that effect. My guess is, let's pull up a calendar, guys. Now that we got the 2026 calendar at our disposal, let's take a look. I'm clicking on over to November. November 6th is a Friday. So Modern Warfare 4 could be November 6th, and then Halo would come out. Wait, the 15th of November, which is the Xbox 25th anniversary, is a Sunday. Xbox doesn't do Sunday releases, so what would you do? You put Halo Anniversary on the 13th or the 20th, a week or two after Modern Warfare? I don't know. It's tricky, but I'm curious to see how they do it, how they space out these kinds of heavy hitters that have a lot of crossover in audience. Let's be honest. Gears of War people or Halo people or Call of Duty people. I mean, there's a huge overlap. And then as a first party, you don't want to be cannibalizing your own products by putting Forza next to Halo, next to Fable. I mean, so it'll be really interesting to see how they space out all these heavy hitters. And all this just to say, I mean, hey guys, let's start off with something really positive. Xbox, assuming all these games make it to the finish line and come out this year, Xbox has an absurdly strong 2026 ahead of them. If they were like a regular home console that made console exclusives for their console in an attempt to get people to buy their console and not try to subscribe to a service on their fucking phone or play a PlayStation, this would be a fucking banner year for Xbox. You got Halo. People would talk about this. They'd be like, yo, remember that year where Xbox gave us Fable, Forza, Halo, and Gears all in the same year? Their 4 biggest IP, the 4 most Xbox franchises of all time. They gave us all 4 of those in 1 year. I get it. Halo's a remake. I get it. Fable's a reboot. I get it. Gears is a prequel, not a sequel. Whatever. But this is on paper, this is a huge year for Xbox. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's moving away a little bit for a second from the first party stuff. Nope, not from the first party stuff, because I keep forgetting our government let fucking Microsoft buy Activision. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Of course, it hasn't been confirmed that that's the game we're getting this year, but every year, next year's Call of Duty gets leaked a year ahead, and we know what it is. And we know, 99% sure we know it's Modern Warfare 4. It's Infinity Ward's turn to go again. So that's what we're getting probably early November. And honestly, I just want to know, how does this work when you got Grand Theft Auto 6 November 19th, Modern Warfare 4 probably on November 6th, and then Halo Combat Evolved Remake or Campaign Evolved, whatever, on November 15th? How do you do that? You put Halo, Call of Duty, and Grand Theft Auto all out within 2 weeks of each other? That's an absolute slaughterfest. And honestly, now that you look at it, it's kind of unfortunate that Grand Theft Auto is going to go out and put out Grand Theft Auto 6 right within days of Xbox's 25th anniversary, because boy, oh boy, that's going to take some wind out of the sails of quite literally any game that comes out against a title like GTA 6. Although obviously GTA 6 will be a good thing for Xbox as a platform, of course. It will move consoles, that's for sure. Someone will buy a $14,000 Xbox Series X from Fry's Electronics for that game, I guess. Why you'd buy it over a PS5 at this point, I don't fucking know, but whatever. You could do it. Anyway, so that's Modern Warfare 4. And I think that'll be a big one. I think, obviously Call of Duty is down and out right now with how the Black Ops 7 thing is playing out. But Call of Duty goes through peaks and valleys. It goes through ups and downs. The online discourse is always louder than what the actual ramifications and financial consequences are of what's going on. Let me back up. I just think that Call of Duty is not completely fucked the way the internet would want you to believe. And I think if you have a really strong Modern Warfare 4, which is possible, people love Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare 2, which is the last one that Infinity Ward did, was a really damn successful game. I just think you have a lot of potential to win a lot of people back, get a lot of eyes back on Call of Duty, and just because a bunch of people took a year off or were hating on the last one doesn't mean that they're going to hate the franchise indefinitely. I mean, that's similar thing happened with Infinite Warfare, similar thing happened with World War II, similar things have happened before, they'll happen again, but I think Modern Warfare 4 has the potential to be one of the bigger years for Call of Duty, and so I think Call of Duty should relatively be just fine. Some other games we have coming out this year, but we don't have dates for, so I just put TBD or TBA. We got Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is the reimagining of the first original Tomb Raider game that was shown at the Game Awards. It looks really good. That's another day one get for me. That game looks really fun. Control Resident, which for some reason I'm assuming this is an August game. I don't know, but I hope it's like summertime. Like this game stands no chance in the fall. You gotta get like late spring, early summer, late spring into summer kind of release in order to even stand a chance. But you guys know it. Remedy Entertainment is like my favorite. So Control Resident is easily one of my top 5 most anticipated games this year. Cannot wait for that. And then Mixtape, this is a smaller indie game or whatever. It's an Annapurna Interactive published game. I don't remember who's making it, but this is one we've been seeing at Xbox events for the past couple of years, and it looks really, really good, and I can't wait to play it. So it's supposed to come out this year. This is that like coming of age, like fucking 80s movie, like one last night before we're off to college kind of teenage slice of life game that looks really good. It has like that really stellar soundtrack with all those 80s artists. I really, really, really want to play this game. And we don't have a date for it yet, but we know it's supposed to be this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. That I think has potential to be a pretty decent critical hit for Game Pass, which can be helpful. And then now I think that kind of does it for games that we're pretty confident are coming this year. Maybe one or two of these gets delayed or something, but for the most part, everything we just talked about should be coming this year. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 has huge potential to get delayed because that's what that game does best, but pretty confident that's a comprehensive list of the hottest games that we're getting on Xbox this year, as we know right now here on January 1st. Now, let's throw out a couple games that we know are Xbox games in development, but we have no idea when they're coming. So I put Elder Scrolls 6. Let's just move right past this. No chance in hell. This is not a 2026 game. We know that. Todd Howard's always being asked about this in interviews. The absolute earliest you could get at Elder Scrolls 6, I think, would be 2027. And even that is a stretch, in my opinion. I think that game is firmly a 2028, 2029 game. But we'll see. Project Mara, if you've forgotten about that, that is the game that Ninja Theory is working on, the guys that make Hellblade. They announced Project Mara, like 4 years ago or something? I mean, they never even like really announced what it was. It's like kind of a game, but it's like this mental health experience thing. Like we don't really know what the fuck it is. Is it canceled? I think that's a possibility. It'd be really cool, honestly, in after the kind of commercial failure of Hellblade 2, I think it'd be kind of cool if, not to say I want creatively for people to have their projects dashed and destroyed, but if you're going to do something like cancel Project Mara, it'd be kind of cool to see Ninja Theory come out and be like, yo, we're making like a video game again, like with mechanics and stuff. And they make something a little more like a Devil May Cry or a Heavenly Sword, like, something like they're more equipped. They have been more equipped to do in the past and have done a great job with, something that's more third person action, hack and slash. I don't know. That'd be cool. But we'll see. And then State of Decay 3, we'll come back to this one, but I don't know about that. Sure, I think a lot of people probably think this is a 2026 game, but we'll come back to that one. Clockwork Revolution, God, I fucking wish. If this year's releases were going to be Clockwork Revolution and Control Resident, I would say 2026 is the best year, baby. But I don't think we're getting Clockwork Revolution this year. I do think there's a chance we get it next year. I don't think it's like so far away, but I just don't think it's 2026. Although I have seen rumors and reports that this game could be coming out this year. I don't fucking believe it. But man, I am very excited for that game when it does come out. So that's probably my most hyped game of 2027. But yeah, we'll see. Steampunk game from it looks like Steampunk BioShock, which is already steampunky if you're talking about Infinite. If you're just talking about BioShock in general. Anyway, whatever. It's from my boys at In Exile that I love now that I played Wasteland 3. Anyway, so last thing here is Marvel's Blade, of course, from our Dishonored brothers. I doubt this is a 2026 game. This is another one where, yeah, it might be a 2027 game. I think it's a 27, 28 game for sure. I think they probably announced it once the deal was inked. So more than likely it's a 2027, 2028 game. But I mean, I guess it's not entirely impossible for it to be this year, but just keep in mind, we haven't even seen the gameplay. because when it was announced, there probably was no gameplay. And then lastly is Hideo Kojima Productions OD, which I'm surprised we even learned anything about it last year. But I don't think it's coming this year because I think this game is the least important thing that Hideo Kojima is working on. And I think he's prioritizing all of his other many projects over this game. So is it coming this year? I guess it's possible. I mean, the thing's been in development since I was 13 years old. But is it coming for sure? I wouldn't bet on it. Let me just put it that way. I do think it will be out in the next 18 months, but I don't think it's a guaranteed 2026 game. All right, so that's really it for the software. That kind of gives us an idea of what we know we can expect and what other games that we know about have the potential to maybe show up in some way this year. But I think 2026 is going to be a really strong, honestly, like 2025. I think this year will be a very strong year for excellent output from Xbox Studios. That is complete where all the momentum in output is completely crushed and dashed by Xbox's horrible management and strategy as a company, as a division within Microsoft. So that is kind of how I'm expecting this year to go. But listen, if you take your hands and you put them around your head so that you make a little tunnel and you just look straight ahead and you ignore your peripheral vision and you just look straight ahead and ignore all the stuff in your periphery, you can lie to yourself and go, hey, it's a great year for Xbox, and just ignore all the other stuff. So speaking of ignoring the other stuff, let's talk about hardware for Xbox this year. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's really just one thing. We know that this is the year of the next Xbox console. So one of the stories that's been coming out over the past week or two while we've been on holiday is this news about how AI companies are like purchasing over 30 or 40% of the world's RAM, and RAM prices have gone like astronomically out of control. And apparently it's getting real bad to where like building a PC costs way more. It's part of why console prices are going more. There are going up so much higher. There are rumors suggesting Xbox and PlayStation might raise their prices again on their consoles because of RAM price increases. It's getting really rough out there. This is going to have a material effect on pretty much all the electronic devices you buy. So just wait, your phone's price is going to go up too. So it's awesome, man. As the economy worsens and things just get harder for working class people, it'll be awesome to see our $1,300 cell phones go to $1,800 and our $500 PlayStations go to $800 and whatnot. But anyway, this is super relevant because some new reporting is saying that Microsoft and PlayStation could be looking to delay plans for a next-gen Xbox and a PlayStation 6 by about another year or so to try and wade off this RAM situation where it's driving up cost of manufacture so much because RAM is so expensive right now. So it is possible that I know the plan is that they reveal and release the new Xbox this year, but I still think it's pretty possible. It's like 50-50 that they just reveal the console, but we get it next year. So I think we're going to see this console this year. Let me be blatantly clear about that. I think most likely we'll see it at the June event, at the Xbox Summer Showcase, because I think they want to release it in time for the 25th Xbox anniversary. I think that is the tentative plan, is show the console in June at your Summer Showcase and then release it in November for the 25th anniversary event. It could be done, right? I mean, that's like 5 months, announcing 5 months before you release. That's kind of within the realm of normal for home console releases to launch windows. So, I mean, I think that's probably the plan right now. But I do think it's possible that with the RAM situation, what ends up happening is on November 15th, we get the reveal and the announcement of this device, and then the device comes out sometime next year in 2027. So that is my assumption. If we don't see this device by the June Summer Showcase event from Xbox, then I'm going to assume that it's coming out in 2027 and that we'll get the reveal in November. So that's where I stand on this, to be honest. But I mean, sure, let's real briefly talk about the device. This is it, right? This is the future of Xbox. It's a PC, it's a console, it's a hybridization of the two. You look at the Xbox Ally device, and those who actually have it, the 7 people who've actually bought it, have pretty good things to say about it. But it does seem like there is a little bit of inelegance between the way the device operates, as it's not quite an Xbox, but it's not quite a PC, and we want it to be basically a console-like experience that just has access to all the great games that are on PC, but it's not quite there, but it is in the right direction, and maybe with some extra effort and elbow grease and time, they can get it to where it needs to be. The problem is, you got to remember, this is Microsoft we're talking about, and they're putting a lot of effort or a lot of pressure on the Windows team to really make Windows more of a platform that's viable for gaming. And I just, as someone who's followed this company for a long time and seen how this has played out, I don't have any faith in the Windows team. I don't think the Windows team is capable of doing the right thing and making people happy. And so I just think listen, it's a cool idea, the Windows-based device that operates like an Xbox but has the benefits and the powers of a PC. It's cool. I want one. Take my money, but I just really don't believe in Microsoft to pull it off, to do the things they need to do to make this device. I don't think this device will be as thoughtful and unique and intuitive as we need it to be in order for it to be pulled off and operate in a successful manner. And I just think, I don't know, you got to be like Steve Jobs era Apple or like Nintendo or something to be able to do that. And Microsoft had a guy who was good at this kind of like marriage of hardware and software. They had teams that were capable of this. They had a Windows Phone team. They had Panos Panay and the Surface team and stuff. And Satya Nadella has done a pretty fucking good job of killing all that stuff as well as Xbox. So it will be a massive, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying it won't be done. I'm just saying it would be a massive undertaking and a huge, huge achievement and accomplishment if the people at Microsoft are able to really pull off this device in the way we all need it to be pulled off in order for it to win and succeed. I think even if this device is a perfect execution of what it needs to be, it's still an uphill battle to make this thing a viable device. And even with that hurdle, in front of them, they have the pre-hurdle of just, can they even really pull this device off in the first place? And you look at the ROG Ally Xbox, and listen, I know the people that have the device like it for the most part, but it's a perfect example that they're not quite there yet, and they better fucking be there by the time they put out a $1,200 home console that is supposed to be the future of Xbox. And this time it's not made by Asus, it's made by Microsoft. So I don't know. I'm very curious about this device. I want this device. I think this device is cool. In a world where I don't have to think about the economics and the viability of this platform, in a world where I can just ignore the fact that it makes no fucking sense to put Steam on an Xbox, in a world where I can ignore the fact that it makes no fucking sense to cannibalize all your fucking first party and to sell a device for a shit ton of money that has no console exclusives, in a world where I can ignore all that and look past it and make it make sense, I fucking love this device and I want it. It's so pro-consumer, and it's something that I wholeheartedly welcome as the future of Xbox. But I also live in the real world, and again, not trying to be pessimistic, trying to be realistic. I just don't see how the fuck this device makes any sense. It makes no sense viably. They don't make money off Game Pass. They're going to make money off 7 people who buy this fucking console because it's going to be so cost prohibitive and so niche that no one's going to want it, and Xbox hardware already doesn't sell. No one's going to buy their fucking games because they're going to buy everything on Steam where Xbox makes less money. Still, the overwhelming majority of people who just want a fucking console are going to buy a PlayStation. I mean, what is Xbox doing? I don't fucking know. My as my girlfriend calls him, my boyfriend, Colin Moriarty, because I do love the Sacred Symbols podcast. I do love the Last Stand Media podcast network. She always tells me, or she always calls him my boyfriend. Anyway, he has been saying this point for a couple months now, and I really hate to admit it. I haven't repeated it on the show because I don't want to sound like so incapable of my own thinking that I can't come up with some kind of alternate perspective to this, but I am starting to slowly think that this could very much be the true reality. Colin Moriarty, what he says is that he thinks this new Xbox console is basically just like an offloading device. The point isn't to win back people and get Xbox to grow as a platform again. It's to kind of slowly take your Xbox hardcore audience that buys Xbox games and hardware and say, we are going to slowly transition you from being a console player to a Windows PC gamer. And that's the point of this device. They know you're not going to buy Xbox games. They know you're going to play Steam. They know you're going to move your library over. They know you're going to slowly become more and more integrated in gaming on a Windows PC. And that's the fucking point, because they're slowly going to back out of the hardware one day and be a publisher. And that's the real true purpose behind this device. And I hate to be like, so like, oh yeah, yep, that's what I think as well. But it's like, that just kind of makes so much more sense than Xbox has some super secret plan up their sleeve to make this device a profitable, viable device, because it just doesn't make sense to think that selling a $1,200 PC to a niche audience of a small group of people who are going to spend money on the Steam storefronts and give Xbox no money, but access Xbox games through a subscription service in which Xbox makes no money, on a platform where they don't interface with Xbox games in a form that makes them really much or any money at all, wherein the majority of people engaging with your games and spending money on your games and giving you microtransaction funds and everything are coming from platforms like PlayStation. It just doesn't make sense. And I know there's like a lot of Xbox people who are like, no, you don't get it, or like, oh, no, it does make sense, but it's like no one has a real explanation for why it makes sense. And so it's not to say I don't want this device. It's not to say I don't think this device is cool. It's really cool. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense, you know? It's like, oh, it's a theme park where you pay $13 a year and you get to go into the theme park for free, and all the popcorn's free and all the soda's free and the rides are free and you can skip the lines, but everyone can skip the lines, so no one gets to skip the lines. And if you really want to ride the best ride, the biggest, baddest roller coaster in the park, you can actually just go to Six Flags Great Adventure and ride it over there. But if you go to this park, we make so much money because for $13, you get to go to this park and do all this stuff with an obnoxious crowd. It's like, yeah, cool, for a ostensibly free theme park with free food and tons of cool rides. How are you going to keep that business model alive? You know, it's like, of course it sounds cool. It's just, I don't know, man. It's like Xbox is, man, maybe this should have been said a long time ago, but maybe all of the things Xbox promises, Game Pass, the acquisition of major companies to get more Xbox titles out there, the most powerful console ever made, the PC console hybrid, all the promises, maybe they're too good to be true. Maybe Game Pass wasn't a great idea. Maybe buying Activision wasn't a great idea. Maybe taking all your fucking Xbox hardcore players and shoving them onto PC isn't such a great idea. It sounds good. Game Pass also sounded good. Call of Duty being an Xbox console exclusive or whatever, being owned by Xbox, sounded good, right? A lot of things sound good, but I don't know that this is something we need. I don't know that this is going to make Xbox a compelling competitor again in the console space, but it is what they're doing, so we'll see. Now, you know, I say all that. I'll be there day one. I'll buy this fucking device. I'm the idiot. Hi, it's me. I'm one of your 7 fucking customers. I'll buy this device. I don't care if it's $1,500. I will buy this device. I will be there. I'm an Xbox fucking hack from the womb to the tomb. I will be there for this device. So, whatever, man. All right. So that's it for Xbox hardware. It will probably have a redesigned new Sebille type controller. So I look forward to seeing haptics in an Xbox controller finally. That will be cool. But that's what 2026 looks like for Xbox. I think it's either announcement in June, release in November, or it's announcement in November, release sometime in 2027. That's where I fall on that. All right, let's talk next about initiatives / competitors support. I actually wrote this category thinking it was a great idea, but then realized I don't have too much to say here. So I just put 2 things. Halo on PlayStation, crazy. That's a huge deal, man. It's a huge deal. I know it's like happening in kind of it's like by the time we finally got the Halo on PlayStation announcement, all the crazy things had already happened and there was nothing crazy left to see or believe. So it's like we were numb by the time Halo finally was announced for PlayStation. But that doesn't change the fact that it is a big deal. 2026 will be the year that Halo comes to PlayStation. Let it sink in. It probably already sank in, whatever, but it's going to be weird, man. We are months away now. We are less than a year away from people uploading clips of themselves playing Halo on a PlayStation, and my 2007 brain is just not ready for that. that information. I don't know what to do on that. So that's the thing that's happening this year. That's, the only thing crazier than that at this point would be like Mario on PlayStation. I mean, that's just how weird it is. So that's the first thing I wrote down here. Other initiatives / competitor type support is that 2026 should be asterisk, because we thought 2025 was going to be it. 2026 should be the year we start to see a lot of Xbox games come to Nintendo Switch 2. And apparently a part of why this hasn't already been a thing is because a lot of developers are complaining that Nintendo has not been very good about giving like dev kits and stuff to even pretty notable companies for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is like mind-boggling. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? But anyway, I do think Xbox wants to support the Nintendo Switch 2 very badly. But, like looking at games for this year, it's like, well, what can come to Switch 2? Is the Switch 2 going to play Forza Horizon 6? Probably not. Gears of War E-Day? Probably not. Halo Campaign Evolved? Maybe. Maybe you can figure that out. Fable? Probably not. Like, I don't know what games you're going to get on there. I mean, South to Midnight probably is coming to Switch this year. I mean, they announced it is, so there you go. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see what it looks like. But this should be the year we start to see a lot more Nintendo and Xbox crossing paths. And by crossing paths, I mean Xbox taking exclusive games and putting them on Switch. So that's a thing. The next category I wrote down here is the competition. So just a couple notes. If you want to look at this as good news for Xbox, PS5 output has largely been anemic for years at this point, and 2026 does not look all that different. Really, the only heavy hitter for PlayStation is Wolverine, which is going to be a fall game. It's their big fall game this year. Now, could PlayStation have some tricks up their sleeves? Absolutely. Keep in mind, PlayStation has a strong third-party output. They got High on Life 2 also. They also got Resident Evil Requiem. They're also getting Pragmata. They're also getting First Light 007. They're also going to get all the Xbox games like Fable at some point. Probably not this year, but some point. They're going to get Halo this year. They're going to get Gears of War probably in 6 to 12 months after we get on Xbox. They're going to get Forza Horizon 6, same deal, probably 6 to 12 months after we get on Xbox. They're going to get Grand Theft Auto 6, which is going to be the biggest game. Mark my fucking words. The best-selling game this year will be Grand Theft Auto 6 on the PlayStation 5. There's a 0% chance that is not the case, provided Grand Theft Auto 6 actually comes out this year. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 will also come to PlayStation and sell better there than it does on Xbox. Tomb Raider, Control, Mixtape, Elder Scrolls Online, State of Decay 3, Clockwork Revolution, Marvel's Blade. These games will all come to PlayStation, whether they be day and date or later. So keep perspective. PlayStation will have a lot of great games to play this year, largely thanks to Xbox, and PlayStation's first party output will be Wolverine. I know they got like that Star Wars game coming out in April, whatever. Wolverine is like the really notable game. Xbox has Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, Fable, and Forza. And PlayStation has Wolverine. Now, don't get me wrong. Wolverine looks fucking sick. I want to play that game. I'll play it when it comes to PC. But God, like how the tables have fucking turned, man. It's like, this stuff always gets me riled up because I just think, wow, Xbox just can't win. Because 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 9 years ago, it was always just like, well, Xbox One can't come back because PlayStation has all the games. You got Bloodborne, you got Uncharted 4, you got God of War, you got Spider-Man. What does Xbox have? It's just Halo and Forza over and over and over again, and they have no games. And now you fast forward to today, and Xbox is like, here's the Elder Scrolls, here's fucking State of Decay, here's Tomb Raider, which is multi-platform. Why am I saying that? Here's Forza, here's Gears, here's Halo, here's Call of Duty, here's all the shit. And now it's just like, well, console exclusives don't really matter. I mean, PlayStation's just going to put out one game that anyone gives a shit about this year, and they're still going to absolutely dominate. And it's like, you got to be fucking kidding me. How does it work this way, man? That's the thing I just really don't get. And the conversation's just so different now because there was a time and place where it really was true. The exclusives are what sell the consoles. Why would you buy an Xbox? Halo. Why would you buy a PlayStation? God of War. Why would you buy a Nintendo? Mario and Zelda. But nowadays it's like, why do you buy a Nintendo? Mario and Zelda. Why do you buy an Xbox? You don't. Why do you buy a PlayStation? Because it is the de facto place to play a video game. And that's really where we are today. It's just so weird. But, it's like, let's keep this in perspective. I'm being really critical of Xbox. I don't think they're going to have the best year ahead of them, mostly because of bad decision-making on a corporate level, not because of the games. But Xbox has all the games this year. Xbox has all the fucking games this year. Just like Xbox had more games than PlayStation last year. In fact, in 2025, Xbox had like all the fucking games. And PlayStation 5 will fucking clobber Xbox because nobody gives a shit. And they will have one game to do it with, and it won't even matter. Even if Wolverine gets delayed, canceled, deloused, doesn't fucking matter. Nobody gives a shit. The PlayStation 5 will destroy the Xbox this year. That is just pure inertia at this point. All right, so that's PlayStation side of things. And then how about Nintendo? Well, Nintendo is also, if I'm being honest, as someone who's kind of back in the good graces of Nintendo and kind of up their asses again, Nintendo has a pretty anemic 2026 ahead of them as well, if I'm being honest. I mean, this Splatoon Raiders game, I'm hyped for. I can't wait. But aside from that, it's like, I don't fucking know. They got like some stupid Pokemon Animal Crossing knockoff. They got some fucking Tomodachi Life. Like, who gives a shit? Switch? I mean, to be fair, Nintendo is pretty good about announcing a game and releasing a game within the same year, generally speaking. So there's probably going to be a couple notable Nintendo games this year in 2026 that we just don't know about yet. And they'll be announced and released within this calendar year. So it's possible Switch 2's got some heavy hitters, but Nintendo's brand new console, the Nintendo Switch 2, as of January 1st, has pretty much nothing fucking to look forward to. And it doesn't matter because the Switch 2 is a juggernaut and it's selling really, really well. And it will get all of Xbox's games as well. So fuck you. So that's where we are for the competition in 2026. Xbox is the best platform with the best games, and it is going to get its ass kicked in by the competition. That's just where we are. All right, let's talk about some notable events. So we're weeks away from the January Developer Direct. We're probably going to get a date on that in the next week or two. So that will be really exciting. I still love that Xbox does this. It'll be the 4th year they've done it. I think this is super fucking cool. This idea that's like, hey, it's the beginning of the year. Let's set the tone for what Xbox looks like this year. Here are the 4 big games that we're focused on that we think you guys should be excited about. Let's get some deep dives on them and hear from the developers making the games. Here we go. I think that is such a cool way to kick off a year. So I love the Developer Direct. I can't wait for it in a few weeks. That's going to be great. And then the summer showcase always takes place in June. Xbox's big summer showcase. It's always a Sunday. So I can pretty much tell you 99% when it's going to be. It will either be June 7th or June 14th, which is a Sunday. My money is on June 7th. It's usually around that first or second Sunday of the month. So probably June 7th. That is when you get your big Xbox blowout. That's the one where they usually have the most game announcements. That's the hype E3 showcase. So I'm looking forward to that as always. Last year's was a little weak, but generally speaking, in the past decade or so, Xbox has pretty good summer showcases. They usually have pretty excellent libraries of games to show off and brag about. So I'm really looking forward to that. Then in August, we got Gamescom. I don't care about Gamescom. Xbox shows up to Gamescom to varying degrees. It's been a while since they've really been there in any meaningful presence. I'm not expecting shit from Gamescom, so we can just skip right over that. But that will be in August in Germany. And then in November, on the 15th, as we've already talked about a bunch, Halo and Xbox, both Halo and Xbox, will celebrate the 25th anniversary of both Halo and Xbox. Now, Jason Ronald, the VP of Next Generation at Xbox, teased a little bit in some interview that was like with BBC or something about what to expect, because the interviewer asked him, he's like, oh, I love old like OG Xbox games. Can we look forward to Xbox bringing more, like, he didn't say backwards compatibility, but he said, can we look forward to Xbox bringing more classic Xbox games forward? And what Jason Ronald said essentially was like, hey, I can't announce anything right now, but in November we're going to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Xbox, and we have a lot of great things to talk about at that time. Some things regarding the past of Xbox, some things regarding the future of Xbox. So I kind of took that as, we're not only going to be talking about the next generation console, whether it's released or revealed at that showcase, but we're also going to be talking about a new backwards compatible initiative. And what I think is going to be basically some kind of, in 2015, that mic drop moment where Phil Spencer's like, Xbox 360 backwards compatible on Xbox One. And it was like a mic drop and the whole world blew up and it was fucking crazy and awesome. I think we're going to have a moment like that where it's going to be like, we have this new protocol or thing on Windows that is going to allow for us to basically emulate Xbox and Xbox 360 perfectly on PC. And it's going to basically be a way for them to say, yeah, we're doing a new backwards compatibility initiative, and it's going to allow us to bring the majority of, not everything, but a very sizable chunk of Xbox and Xbox 360 games over to PC on the Xbox app, which will make the next generation PC console hybrid Xbox a very comprehensive Xbox ecosystem. You know, Jason Ronald was talking about preservation and the responsibility they have to preserve old games. And Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond have talked about that many times in the past. Xbox has been very vocal about game preservation in recent years. And so it seems like there's going to be some pretty exciting news about some kind of backwards compatibility initiative, which I'm pretty fucking psyched about. That sounds awesome. All right, and then the last event that's pretty notable is, of course, in December, we get the Game Awards. I don't think Xbox is going to have a big hardware news there, but I do think they will have a bigger presence at this year's Game Awards than the one they had at this past Game Awards a few weeks ago, where they were basically absent. So that's the big event schedule for the year. Now, let's move into the final category I put down here, which is just a random slew of predictions I have for Xbox in 2026. And again, let me just preface, I am not trying to be pessimistic and negative. I am just trying to be realistic and honest. Please do not call me out for being a negative Nancy. I'm just looking at what Xbox has been like for the past couple of years, and I'm looking at 2026 and saying, what are the odds that all these fortunes turn around and everything is all peaches and rainbows? Probably not very likely. What are the odds that we get some more disappointing news? Hey, I'm hoping for a lot less disappointing this news compared to last year, but I am still expecting this year to have some hardship that is just a realistic and rational thing from my perspective based on history. With that said, my first prediction is I think there's a good chance that State of Decay 3 is canceled. And that the team at Undead Labs gets shut down or faces severe layoffs or they lay off severe chunks and then merge what's left of the team into some other developer. I think State of Decay 3 had its shit or get off the pot moment like 2 years ago. This game is vaporware. When they canceled Everwild in Perfect Dark last year, which I'm still upset about, I was kind of surprised they didn't also cancel State of Decay 3 alongside it. So we either see State of Decay like at the developer direct in a few weeks, or this game is fucking canceled. Like, that's where I am with this game. It is pure vaporware unless they say something otherwise, like pretty damn soon. So that's my first prediction. Second one here is that the ROG Xbox Ally X, or whatever, the handheld device that they have, I think it will not get an official price reduction this year because Xbox doesn't give a shit, and you will pay whatever price they say for their hardware because they don't care about selling hardware. But I do think many retailers and outlets like Amazon and Best Buy will periodically throughout the year will have many instances of, hey, there's a pretty steep discount right now on the ROG Ally device. The only thing that could save it from that, I think, would be if Asus is the one entirely in charge of allowing that kind of thing to happen. And if they don't allow it, if they prevent it somehow. But I think there's a pretty good chance there'll be like Black Friday and summer sales and things like that, where it's like, oh yeah, the $1,000 device is $750 and the $600 device is $400 right now, or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen multiple times throughout the year. So if you're curious about these devices, maybe want to dip your toes in, I'd say hold out. I think there are going to be opportunities to get it for cheaper soon. All right, next prediction here is that another major retailer will drop Xbox altogether. I don't think Walmart or anything is going to drop Xbox tomorrow, but I don't know, man. Target's hurting financially. Maybe they do some restructuring and take Xbox off the shelf. I don't know. We know that Sam's Club and Costco basically said, fuck you. I think it's possible to see, I think the ones where it's pretty much safe, I think Xbox is safe at Best Buy, GameStop, and Walmart, but I wouldn't be totally surprised. Hey, maybe it's a smaller retailer, more regional retailer. I don't know, but I would not be surprised if we have not heard the last of Xbox being dropped from retailer support. So that is a prediction I have. I'm not 100% firm on that. But I just feel like I could see it happening in the next 6 to 12 months. Anyway, next one I have here, kind of positive. I think Fable is gonna come out this year. I think it's gonna be a pretty big hit. I think it's gonna be the biggest critical success for Xbox in a long time. It's gonna be pretty well liked. I don't think it's gonna be 10 out of 10 kind of consensus. I think it's gonna be like B plus, A minus kind of consensus. Like I could see this game really holding like an 85, 86 Metacritic score, like somewhere in like the 84 to 88 range. But like a pretty good critical consensus. And I think it will be a very big positive spot for Xbox, like a really positive moment for Xbox this year. I don't think it will be like Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild or Baldur's Gate 3 big. I don't think Xbox will ever put something out that will have that kind of love and appreciation, because the world hates Xbox and apparently they're not capable of making games like that or whatever. I'm so out of touch with why people like the popular games now. I don't fucking know. I don't know why you wouldn't like Starfield more than Baldur's Gate 3, but that's just me. But I think Fable is going to be a pretty big success commercially, critically. I think it's going to be not the next water cooler game, but I think it will be a game that it will reach through outside of the hardcore gaming space to some normies. You will hear, it's not like everyone's playing Fable, but you will hear some normies playing this game. Maybe some of your coworkers, just maybe out in public randomly. I think this game has a pretty good chance of being a moderately big game in terms of commercial and critical reception. So, and it better be, because of how long it's been in development. I mean, this game probably cost $2.7 trillion to make. Now, so that's a positive one. Fable is going to be pretty much a bona fide hit. Now, if Xbox has a moment where they get a huge W and Fable's a hit and everyone loves it and Xbox is basking in the sunlight for a moment, I think that is, in typical Xbox fashion, the perfect opportunity for them to announce like layoffs and cancellations and some other bad news to kind of offset the positivity being brought to them. But that's a whole separate conversation. Let's move on to our next prediction here. I put Gears of War E-Day is pretty great, and then a revisionist history starts to form surrounding Xbox franchises, where people start to say things like, Gears of War was always better than Halo. I've always been more of a Gears of War guy. Halo was never that great. That is a prediction I have. I don't think E-Day is going to be the light the world on fire game. I don't think anything Gears of War could ever recapture the magic and zeitgeist that it did back in like the Gears of War 2 era. I just don't think that's the kind of game that people are after these days. I think the fact that Baldur's Gate and Elden Ring could be like the hottest games in the world, it just goes to show, it's like people like me who love Gears of War and Call of Duty and Halo, like our time has come and gone. Like these games are not coming back in that capacity. But I do think Gears E-Day will be a pretty great reminder of what people loved about Gears of War. And I think it will harken back to a time that makes people feel warm and fuzzy and good inside. And I think it will be a pretty big hit. So especially on PlayStation, I think people will be super happy to take Xbox's best games and play them on their biggest competitors' hardware. My next prediction here is that Halo on PlayStation 5 will sell very well, but not as well as people assume. People are going to be disappointed with artistic changes and the lack of multiplayer. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of this, like after the game's out, people bitching and moaning loudly online about how like, oh, they ruined this, or this whole scene sucks now because the art direction destroyed the integrity of the original version of the game. And there's going to be, I think the game will sell very well on PlayStation, but I think the absence of multiplayer will give a lot of people a good excuse to skip the game, because Halo is all about the multiplayer. So where the fuck is the multiplayer? So I just, that's kind of where I am on that. That doesn't mean I think the game will be a commercial failure or anything. I think the game will do very well on Xbox and PlayStation. I just think it's going to be, it's like if someone told you they're going to put Mario on PlayStation tomorrow, you would think it's like the best selling game of all time, because everyone would be so curious they'd have to buy it. But With Halo, it's like if you told me they're bringing Halo to PlayStation, I think something similar, but with it being a remake of just the campaign, it's Unreal Engine, it's not really the Halo people want. What are they doing this for? Like, what's going on here? It's like, yeah, that might not be it, because I really don't think they're giving the people what they want. The people want Halo on PlayStation, but I don't think this is the Halo they want. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's my prediction. My next one here is that Call of Duty is going to be conspicuously absent from Nintendo, despite the fact that Xbox promised to bring Call of Duty to Xbox or to Switch or to Nintendo platforms during all the FTC trials. So super cool to see a big corporation lie about doing something and then get away with it. So I think that trend will unfortunately continue, because Modern Warfare 4 this year is positioned to be the next generation of Call of Duty. So we're looking for a technical leap in Call of Duty, which is going to make the game even harder to run on Switch hardware. So I just think it's probably not happening. And Infinity Ward seems to be the Call of Duty developer that is least interested in supporting lower powered platforms. So I just think that probably not the year we get Call of Duty on Nintendo, but hey, I hope I'm wrong. And then I have two more predictions. The next one here is Grand Theft Auto helps Xbox get a bump, but it helps PlayStation way more, which is just to say that, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to make console sales of all platforms that support Grand Theft Auto 6 go way, way, way up. But I just think Xbox is so fucking dead at this point. If you're going to be Jimmy John and you don't have a next-gen gaming system and Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out and you just got to play it, you're going to go to the store and say, oh boy, what do I do? Do I buy the PlayStation for $400 and play the hottest game of all time, on the platform where all my best friends play and everyone I know and everyone in media and everyone in the hip-hop songs talks about? Or am I going to pay $300 more and get it on the Xbox, the platform that's dead, that everyone says is dead and is stupid and dead, and pay more money for lesser hardware and get it on that platform and play it there because it's dead? Because I used to like Xbox when I was younger. Like, it's like, that's kind of the decision people are going to have to make. I think both Xbox and PlayStation will benefit greatly from Grand Theft Auto 6. But I think even Grand Theft Auto 6 is not going to be able to really move the needle for Xbox, because you fucking killed your console. You Satya Nadella, you Microsoft, you Amy Hood, you guys fucking killed Xbox. You guys did it. So Grand Theft Auto can only do so much work for you. All right, my final prediction is that Xbox shows their plans for how this PC console platform will work, regardless of whether or not we get the console this year. I think we will get a very in-depth look and understanding of what it is they're trying to do with this Windows console Xbox hybrid device, and the picture will be a lot clearer for us all. So I fully expect to get a lot more clarification on that, and that's frankly what I'm just really excited about. So, yep, that are my predictions. Those are my predictions for Xbox in 2026. Those are the games we have to look forward to, all the happenings, the stories, the competitors, the hardware, the software, whatnot. So it gave us about an hour worth of things to talk about. I think it's, again, I'll say it, 2026 looks a lot like 2025 to me. It looks like a year with great games that if a capable company that gives a shit about trying to be successful were in charge here, they could have a fantastic year on their hands. But because it's Xbox, because it's Microsoft, because of what they're trying to do to this brand, I think we're going to have a year full of turmoil and disappointment and sorrow and heartbreak amidst a slew of excellent game releases. I think it's probably what we're in for in 2026, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope 2026 is the year that reinvigorates all of our trust and faith in Xbox and things go back to normal and Daddy Phil gives us all kisses on the head and says goodnight. I hope so. Again, I'm not trying to be negative and pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic and honest. So that is where I stand on all of that. Guys, we have one more thing to discuss. It's all from you guys, the audience, the listener comments. So let's transition over to the listener comments, read from all you guys, see what you had to say, and then, and then we'll wrap up the podcast. All right, what the hell do all you freaks want to say to me? All right, guys, well, let's kick off the comments. I think we got like 9 of them this week. No real particular order. I put a couple of them towards the top if they talked about like their favorite games or predictions for the year to kind of make it relevant, but it's Xbox On, so the comments are kind of all over the map. So anyway, 360 Bro writes in with our first comment of 2026. Oh man, what a fitting commenter. Happy holidays. My top 5 games of the year were Outer Worlds 2 at number 5, Control Replay at number 4, Cyberpunk 2077 Replay at number 3, Arc Raiders at number 2, and Alan Wake 2 at number 1. That's a really solid list, man. He said, my goal for next year is to avoid forcing games I'm not enjoying. I'm also going to be more selective about the games I pick up. But here are my predictions for Xbox in 2026. Next, first-party Xbox will get canceled. Phil Spencer announces retirement. AI bubble pops and layoffs / game closures. Xbox has its best year for games as a publisher. Bro, I hate how... hey, I guess it can be more grim and dark than how I was, but... it's possible. I think all of those things are possible. You didn't list a single prediction that I think is like just completely out of the question. However, I don't think I agree with these. I mean, well, Xbox having its best year for games. I added the publisher thing. You just said Xbox has its best year for games. I don't know if you mean as in like terms of like revenue from like selling games on all platforms, or if you mean like the games they put out this year are just, in your opinion, the best games. I don't know. But I agree with you that it's going to be a great year for Xbox games. No doubt about it. The AI bubble popping, God, I fucking hope so. Just because I want AI to fucking burn in the ground. I know we're going to have to go through some economic turmoil to make it happen, but it's got to happen, dude. It's got to happen. Necessary evil. Phil Spencer announcing retirement. It could fucking happen. The guy's got to step down at some point. I mean, he hasn't actually been the leader of Xbox in quite a while at this point. It's just a bunch of fucking suits and number crunchers telling him how to destroy our favorite brand. And then, yeah, the next console being canceled, it's not off the table. I don't think so. I think we're currently going to get it. If anything, just to be, as my boyfriend Colin Moore already says, as that offloading device, at the very least. But I do think we're going to get it. But if they canceled it, I'd be lying to you if I said, oh, I'm shocked. Color me shocked. They canceled it? Ugh. I hope they don't. I really hope they don't. Billy Burgess writes, anytime this is someone's last name, I fucking suck at it. Why? Happy New Year, Xbox podcast. My mom... What? Let me rub my eyes and read it again. Happy New Year, Xbox podcast. My most played games this year are 1, Donkey Kong, 2, Mario Kart World, 3, Forza 7, 4, Car X Street, don't know what that is, and Mario Galaxy 2. Oh, that's supposed to be 5. Okay. 5, Mario Galaxy 2. What will Xbox be in 2026? Who knows? I can only imagine what the next console will be. I can only imagine that the next console will be a flop as they want it to be. I might dip my toes into the Steam box. Let's hope we will be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 on November 26th. I think it's supposed to be November 19th, isn't it? Am I wrong? Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's, maybe it is the 26th. I don't fucking remember. All right, first of all, /side note, good list of games. I like it. Lots of Nintendo. A lot of Nintendo people this year. What's going on? But yeah, I mean, I think if the plan for the console is for it to sell as many as many units as possible and get as big of an install base as humanly possible, I think, yeah, this thing is a guaranteed bona fide flop. It's going to fail. If the plan is just to get Xbox diehards onto a new console that is technically a PC to help them, navigate their library over to PC, then it could be a really consumer friendly, nice device for people like us. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But thank you for writing in. I appreciate you guys so far. Let's see. Arctic Chief, our main man, Arctic Chief says, in regards to last week's comments, yeah, Ocarina of Time Online is a mod for the PC ROM. Not my first time playing it, but it is my favorite game of all time. It's my favorite. The Ocarina of Time Online is your favorite game, or just classic Ocarina of Time? My brother and I beat that and Mario 64 online every now and again when we just want to mess around in gaming. The Game Boy and printer I've had. The Game Boy and the printer I've had since I was a young kid, but it has a specific paper for it that you have to get off eBay nowadays. 2026 games I'm looking forward to is mainly Fable. I'm hoping this will be the year we finally get it. I think it will be. I'm pretty confident we're getting Fable this year. Let's be positive about that. I feel good about it. Yeah, I did not know about Ocarina of Time or Mario 64 Online. I don't know anything about this, so it's pretty cool. Of course, there's a thing where you can go online and play because the fucking internet. But anyway, I just think it's so cool that you have a Game Boy and a Game Boy printer. Specifically the Game Boy printer. I just thought that was such a fun anecdote that you wrote in and had that. I was like, wait, why is that getting brought up on my Xbox podcast? But I was glad you did. So thank you for that. Tim R also wrote in about that and says Zelda Online is now called Grawl the Adventure. Graal the Adventure. Grawl the Adventure. If I understand it correctly, I don't want to know that. Tim R, I love you. Happy 2026. Get this information out of my face. Mr. Malgride says, happy late Kanishmas. I hope you get the reference. I don't. I'm sorry. And happy early new year. Late list here. I had a rough year, so I stuck to a lot of comfort games in no particular order. Number 1, Black Ops 6. Number 2, Black Ops 7. Number 3, Doom Eternal. Number 4, the Master Chief Collection. Number 5, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. Honestly, your list being all first-person shooters and Tony Hawk is pretty fucking fun list in my opinion. He said, honorable mentions go to Cyberpunk, Battlefield 6, which I only played the beta, but I played a lot of it, and Avowed. Yeah, man, those are pretty great games all around. Who gives a shit? I feel like last year was that year for me where it was like fewer games, a lot more comfort food games, but those are great games you listed, and they all sound like a fucking blast. They all sound better than licking tar off of a man's booty hole in a back alley, so I don't know. What do you want? Sorry to hear that it was a rough year for you, man. I hope, Mr. Maug, that 2026 is a much better year. Sorry I didn't catch your reference, but I do appreciate you sharing your list, and I always appreciate you writing in. So let's here's to a better 2026, and thank you as always. I appreciate you, man. Cargo Runner UK says, great show. Definitely my favorite show each year. I really enjoy the favorite games of the year. Thanks. I appreciate that, man. It's my favorite show to do too. I really enjoy the recommendations from the rest of the Xbox On gang. As far as the Xbox On community winner of the year, it's pretty obvious that the community winner is Nintendo. All right, Cargo Runners, fair enough. I think last week what happened was a bunch of games had 2 votes, and it was a tie between like 3 or 4 games, and I said, fuck it. The Xbox On Game of the Year is Battlefield 6 because it's the game I like the most that was in the tie. But it's a good point. I think for whatever reason, a lot of us seem to have had a good year with Nintendo last year, so maybe it is the year of Nintendo for Xbox people. I don't know if I like that being the answer, but that might objectively be the answer. So Cargo Runner, thank you. Thank you for the clarification there. Cronky wrote in and says, this week, I heard someone say that you shouldn't give an indie game any kind of special consideration. You should basically weigh a Silk Song and a Shovel Knight right up next to a Battlefield or Uncharted type of game. From the consumer standpoint, I definitely get it. Why should the player care about how much money the devs had and how many staff members? Is the game good? Does it look good? I am mixed on this mostly because I think of games as art, and the process is part of the overall product. I think one person making Stardew Valley makes it more makes it more impressive than Animal Crossing, and more worthy of praise. Long-winded way of asking your thoughts on this. Do indie games deserve special consideration? Okay, so I'm glad you wrote this in. It's a great question. I am also of the mindset that there does need to be a differentiation, but I do think the way we currently differentiate it, especially if we're talking about things like Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, I think is absolutely laughably horrible, because for whatever, and here's the thing, man, really the advent of the indie game started with Xbox Live Arcade in like 2008. And so it's been 15 years. We're not going to change it. It's what's happened has happened. It's been almost 20 years. There's no going back. But the reality is that indie doesn't mean indie in the video game space. The word has been, at first it was just getting misused, and at this point it's just been redefined to mean something else. And I think it's pretty clear that indie means, it's a blanket catch-all term that means either game developed by one or a few people, or it means game that looks like an old school or a lower budget game, but not in a bad way. So it's like, I don't know, you look at some like, remember Child of Light, that small game that Ubisoft made that when they were doing like those artsy projects, they did like Child of Light, and then they did that Valiant Hearts, that World War I game, and they were like this 2D flash looking games or whatever. I feel like those games get treated as like indie games, even though they're Ubisoft games. And then you look at things like Clear Expedition 33, which is a game that has almost the production value of a AAA game, but it was made by a smaller team, and an unknown smaller team, and published by a smaller publisher. But that game gets called indie, but it's not indie, because for it to be independent, it would have had to have been independently published. And it wasn't. It was published by Kepler. And that's the thing we run into all the time, where it's like these games that have publishers are called indie. Like, for example, we have Devolver Digital, which is a video game publisher, but they call themselves an indie game publisher. But that doesn't even make sense, because you cannot be a publisher of indie games, because for a game to be published would mean it's not indie. So it's just, the term has been redefined. I don't want to say bastardized or put a connotation on it, because I don't think it's a good or bad thing that we've done this. I just think we have to acknowledge that we have done this, and that the term indie game does not literally mean it's an independent game. And I think there should be a differentiation. I think the differentiation shouldn't be, this game is 16-bit and is a 2D side-scrolling game, and this game was made by 1,100 people and has the most groundbreaking graphics and is online and is an open-world game, and you could put 3,000 hours into it and still not see all that the game has to offer. I think those games should be able to go head-to-head, but like you said, if one of those games was made by one people's, and one of those games was made by 1,100 people, that should be a differentiating factor. If one of those games was published independently and one of those games was published by Activision, that should be a differentiating factor. And we lack the nuance and the care to consider those factors, which I think matter more. I'm not so concerned with how high budget a game looks or how content rich a game is. I think you should be able to compare apples and oranges when trying to figure out what is the best artistic representation to represent a year in gaming, right? Like, so I think you can have Grand Theft Auto go up against Hollow Knight, whatever, because to me a game is a game. But I think we should be able to say that there is a difference between the game that was made by Ubisoft in France, but had the support of Ubisoft in Canada and Ubisoft in Singapore helping them. And it was a team of 1,200 people who brought this game together, versus the game that was like a guy in his basement with the help of his friend, kinda. You know, like, these things should be noted. Otherwise, you know, I think it's just the point where you have to start explaining it is where it falls apart and nobody cares anymore, and you start to lose people. So I think we just loosely use this term indie to mean like, oh, it's like a game that looks retro, or it's a game that looks simple, or it's a game that was made by a few people, or it's a game that was made by a team you've never heard of and published by a team you've never heard of, and that therefore it's indie. You know, basically what indie means is it wasn't published by EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, and it means it wasn't developed by any team that one of those publishers owns. That's basically what indie means at this point. It's like, that's just not true. I mean, by that definition, the most independent developer out there is Remedy, because Remedy self-publishes, although I guess they have that kind of Epic Games deal for some of their games, but they generally self-publish at this point in time because they don't really work with Xbox anymore, and they are not owned by another publisher or platform holder. So honestly, the guys that make Control and Alan Wake, that's an indie developer. We don't think of them that way because it's a team of like 100 fucking European men, but they're an independent developer. So I think this is a conversation that could go on for a long time. There's a lot to say here, and I used to feel very strongly about this, but today I just, it's like when I hear someone misuse the term indie game, I'm just like, I know what you mean. I don't care. I know what you mean. Fuck it. I don't know. Like, I wasted all my frustration and passion energy on this topic back when I was in high school, and I cared so much when people were like, that's a scene band. I'm like, that's not a scene band. That's an emo band. They're like, that's a death metal band. It's like, that's not death metal. That's post-hardcore. And I got all passionate and heat about my music. And now I'm older and I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to go play Metroid. Anyway, but Cronky, thank you for writing in. That was a great question. I enjoy those kinds of conversations, so thank you. Dead Captain James, our favorite boy, writes in first time of the year and says, as long as I'm alive and you're doing the show, I will be here each week. Even though I mainly game on PC and PlayStation 5 now, Xbox On is a staple of my week. That is possibly the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, and I wish you wouldn't say it because I don't know how to handle compliments. But Dead Captain James, I greatly appreciate those words, maybe more than you know. So thank you very much. That's very kind of you. To anyone listening out there who is an assassin or a hitman, just pay close attention. He did say, as long as I'm alive and you're doing the show. So he will stop listening if you kill him, I guess is what he's saying. Anyway, Dead Captain James, thank you. Have a great 2026 to you and your family. And our last comment comes from Mr. Decoy Doc Ock Coctopus, who says, I haven't played this. I love this one because it's such a far left turn for the show. I haven't played Metroid Prime 4, but I have heard people say that collecting the green crystals is repetitive. Also that the open world with the green crystals on the bike, on the motorcycle, is a longer and less fun way of getting between dungeons. Your thoughts? I mean, this has absolutely nothing to do with Xbox, but I am incredibly excited about Metroid right now, so I'll gladly talk about this. So for the many of you who probably don't know because it's an Xbox podcast, and most of you probably don't give a shit about Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime 4 bucks the traditional setup of a Metroid Prime game in that there is this hub-like field called the Soul Valley, and it's basically like Hyrule Fields from Ocarina of Time, since we were just talking about Ocarina of Time. And it's basically like that, rather than the game being one connected map where you explore these different biomes that are all interconnected like a traditional Metroid game, in this game it's split up more like dungeons, where it's like the fire dungeon, the ice dungeon, the industrial dungeon, the forest dungeon, and there's this little Hyrule Fields like desert map that kind of is at the hub of all of those dungeons, and you ride your Viola motorcycle thing around the little open world type area in between the dungeons. There's not a whole lot to explore. There's not a whole lot to do in that field. There are these green crystals that you like crash into and collect throughout the game, and a lot of criticism levied at this game is that at the end of the game, before you can get to the last boss, there's like this absolute wall, this grind wall you hit, where you have to collect a shit ton of these crystals, like 1 to 2 hours worth of crystal collecting before you can do this thing and then go fight the last boss. I heard this criticism pretty much since before the game came out, so I went into the game going, okay, whenever I start encountering these green crystals throughout my playthrough, I'm going to be very deliberate and careful about collecting them, so when I'm at the end of the game, I won't have so many crystals to collect. So I did do that, and so that by the time I got to the end of the game, I did have to stop for about 30 to 45 minutes and just drive around the desert aimlessly collecting green crystals to finish my collection, but I did not collect green crystals for as long as it seems like other reviewers did, based on how much people hate this. Now, it is important to note, I have a high tolerance for bullshit filler mechanics if they are monotonous and low difficulty. I'm a stupid person. The things that filter me in games is high skill, difficult combat encounters, and high difficult puzzle solving. Those things will filter me out in 2 fucking seconds. But if you're just saying drive around the world aimlessly and crash into green crystals and collect until the bar's full, you and a normal person and an IGN and a review outlet might say this is filler content, this is insulting to the player, this is padding for the game, this is ridiculous, I'm going to deduct points from this game for that. And I will go, that's not the smartest game design. I don't think that's the most fun thing in the world, but I will gladly listen to a podcast while I drive aimlessly around the desert collecting green crystals, and I will still have a good time. So I had no problem with this. I acknowledge it is technically poor game design. It is technically a problem, and when I hear people complain about it, I go, hey, that's really fucking valid. But was I personally bothered by this? Not really, because it really leaned into my stupid way in which I like to engage with games. You got to remember, I'm the guy that likes a lot of cheap, budgety, movie licensed games from like the GameCube era. I'm the guy who will often play the 6 out of 10 like Atlas Fallen and tell you guys why it's way better than fucking Elden Ring. So I like dog shit. One of my favorite Xbox One exclusives is ReCore. I understand ReCore is full of problems and it's very flawed, but I think ReCore had some amazing ideas and some really great moments, and I'm able to look over a lot of I'm able to look past a lot of like imperfections in games to see the big picture and to appreciate the intention of the developers. And sometimes I just have this thing with games. It probably goes into like why games like Sonic Unleashed are like some of my favorite games. I can often look at games where you can tell the development was like this is an immaculate game that had somewhat of a rough development. And so what you get is a really amazing game that is hidden under the facade of a poorly executed game. And sometimes when I feel like a game is so transparently presented that way, I actually almost appreciate it more because it just feels so real to me. I'm like, I can understand what the developer went through here. Like I play this game, I'm like, I get what happened here. Like I can appreciate that this was a challenge for you guys. This is a thing that you guys had to deal with, and this was a decision that had to be made. And I am here on the receiving end as the player, having to contend with the decision that was made here. And like, it just makes me feel like I connect with and understand the game on a different level, even if it's not necessarily the most fun and engaging thing. So I guess it's just a really long-winded way of saying I'm stupid and I'm easily entertained. And so I didn't have much of a problem with this, but I would definitely say for normal, mentally well-adjusted people, this is a problem, and it's a very fair criticism, and it's a huge drawback for the game, no doubt. Because make no mistake, what it is padding. It's trying to get the game's runtime to the 15-hour mark because the developers knew that the game was one dungeon shorter than it should have been. And so that's what this is. It's just filler content because this was easy to develop for, and they just inflated the runtime that way. But no, I wasn't impressed by it by any means, but it didn't really detract from my enjoyment of the game. Not really. So those are my thoughts. But I'm stupid and mentally malnourished. So what do you want from me, Decoy Coctopus? But guys, that's all I got to say for this week. I'm gonna go play some fucking games that are less than great and have a great. It's that time of year, man. I love this time of year for some reason. Every time it's like the holidays, it's cold out, whatever, I just get in this cozy mood where I don't want to fucking leave the house. I will leave the house to go to work, and then when I come home, I just want to take a shower and play video games and sleep. Nothing else. So I've been blasting through games. I played Metroid Zero Mission and beat that this past week. In the past couple weeks, I've beaten Metroid Prime 4. I'm beating Tears of the Kingdom right now. I played Kirby Air Riders. I'm getting back into Black Ops 7 and Battlefield 6. I beat Spider-Man 2 on Steam. I've just been playing games left and right, and I'm having a fucking blast. So I can't wait to get this podcast edited and uploaded so I can just get back to whatever the fuck I want to play, because I'm just enjoying some video games right now. So hope you guys are enjoying games as well. Happy 2026 to all of you. I hope for each and every one of you this year is genuinely an improvement for you and your lives and your families and your loved ones over the last year. If last year was a rough year, I hope this year's better. And if last year was a good year, I hope this year's a great year. I really appreciate you all. Here we are entering fucking our 7th year of Xbox On or whatever. And it's crazy to think that some of these names I'm still seeing pop up after all these years. So I just appreciate you all, and I hope you have an excellent year and a great holiday season. And until next week, when we get back to the regular news and all that shit, just know I hope all your dreams are so fucking powered. I hope you have the most powerful dreams in this gosh darn universe.